Joined now by Canucks beat writer for the Province and Post Media, Mr. Patrick Johnston.
Hi. Good morning. Hello.
Morning. Start with our Tim Hortons poll question. The NHL regular season, is it too long?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Sort of. It is absolutely the dog days right now.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Can we just fast forward to the playoffs?
Because
here's we covered bad teams, and this part of the year was the death march.
Yeah.
And now we're covering a really good team, and I still feel like let's just fast forward to the play.
Just end it.
And let's think about
66 is almost the perfect sweet spot.
Yeah. And then let's think about it, right? You've got kind of 3 or 4 teams in each conference that are still chasing that 7-8 spot, right? You take those 4 teams and you have a little play-in tournament. Everybody else gets a week off or whatever, and we start the playoffs next week with some excitement. There's some build-in. Everybody's pumped. Let's go.
Follow-up question. Is March break too long?
No, it's perfect. I mean, I don't know. As a teacher, it was perfect.
Yeah, I'm sure it was.
As a parent, I'm whatever.
No,
the kids are happy. That's all.
Yeah, exactly.
Kids are burnt out. Listen, I feel terrible for the people who don't have access to childcare. I do. I'm in a strong position. I hope everybody is able to get access to childcare, but that could be another podcast.
I go downstairs to the garbage yesterday. My neighbor's there. There are 4 young children running around the property screaming. One has left their jacket in the front yard. It's blown around. The other has left their backpack in the backyard. And my neighbor looks at me and goes, Matt, March break. They get 2 weeks now. Ain't it great? Through gritted teeth.
Now, to be clear, I will.
How did they finagle the second week?
How did they finagle? Do you really, Matthew? Do you really want to know?
Yes.
Well, here's why. 15 years ago, the BC Liberals decided they wanted to cut the fucking budget, and so the easiest way to do was to make each day a little bit longer, and then you can save on a second week. And you don't. I'm not making this up. You don't pay for heating, and there's a whole bunch of other stuff that you save money on, and that's
you've told us this in the past. Actually, I grew up in a period of time in Ontario. Blake, perhaps you were in Toronto at the time as well. Ray Days, Bob Ray was the premier, federal cabinet minister for the Liberals, but NDP premier, and the budget shortfall. So they just decided to give us a whole bunch of Fridays off during the course of the school year.
I think it
was the damnedest thing.
That was the start of professional days, I believe. I don't think
I think there were professional days before that, but we certainly got all these bonus days that we were just on, and parents were furious.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so this is one of those ones, like, teachers weren't gonna they had to serve it. It's not us. Like, for once, it wasn't them.
You guys wanted to work.
Eventually, the kids do get older, you see, though, guys, and then you don't see them for the 2 weeks. They just
That's right.
They just FO and do whatever the hell they want.
That's right.
It impacts you in no way whatsoever. So it's all right. They're happy.
Anyway.
So you're a play-in tournament guy? You'd like to see that in the league?
Yeah, I am in general. I think the buzz it creates, there's fundamentally not a lot of difference between a team that's 7th and a team that's 8th, 10th in terms of quality. It builds a buzz, and I think the other way you should do it is that you need to find ways to give incentives to finishing at the top, right? And so, like, rest, right? That's a big one. Make those teams a little more tired. Now, obviously, I do talk a lot about player welfare, but yeah, like, give rest as an advantage, at least in that regard, for a team for finishing higher.
I like that, because what we're seeing right now with the Golden Knights sinking, and now the Wild again losing last night as they didn't preserve much drama, but there's no consequence right now, it appears, for the Vegas Golden Knights sinking. Well, if the Golden Knights knew that by sinking at this point that they would have to play in a play-in tournament, maybe they would have been a little bit more reticent to flirt with LTIR loopholes and try to put pedal to the metal to make sure they're in the top 6.
In the end, I'm more about the advantage of finishing higher. Like, I think, that's exactly it. You want to create an incentive to go for 6 as opposed to, I'm not punishing teams. I think just create an incentive to go for 6. I mean, look, I wrote this. I wrote this very early in the pandemic because I was stuck for ideas. But, I looked at, like, the incentives of relegation battles, right? Like, the way teams will find teams that are trying to fight to finish 17th in the Premier League, so they don't go down, right? Like there are reasons to want to win at the end of the season. I think the gold plan has some merits, but I think creating a play-in situation is better.
But Vegas risks missing altogether now.
Yes.
Wow.
Play-in tournament, they have some.
They've got some help here. The Blues and the Wild have most recently lost. So
are you for the NBA format then? 7 plays 8, the winner is in, and then the loser of 7-8 plays the winner of 9-10 for the final spot. Is that how the NBA one works again?
Yeah. I mean, build a little bracket, or I would kind of love having a quick little round robin or something like that. I think that would be fun because then you're chasing goals, right? Like make them chase goals. Any format that's interesting, I'm in favor of.
Gotcha. Garland and Höglander.
Right.
Have they found the recipe for success for Petey? Are those the 2 best wingers to play with Petey at the moment or long term?
At the moment, I think so. Probably. I've always been a bit skeptical of putting Garland on a line with Pettersson or Miller. I think I look at Garland as a guy, when he's on the line, he wants the puck on his stick. And Pettersson's a guy that wants the puck on his stick, and Miller's the guy that wants the puck on his stick, and so they are. I always think it's a bit of an awkward fit.
He's a center from the wing, isn't he? Garland,
a little bit, yeah. Like he's the playmaker on the line, right? And that's why he's worked so well with like Bluger and Joshua. And so when Dakota Joshua comes back, I think you have to put those 2 back together, no matter who your center is. I think those 2 absolutely have to go back together. But for the moment, sure. It seems to be working. He certainly thinks the game at a pace and at a level that Pettersson does. Höglander's figured it out this year what his role has to be, and certainly since he's joined Pettersson, has figured out what his role has to be on that line. I think they're a great fit right now.
Well, let's galaxy brain this. What if you keep those 2 as a pair, but upgrade Bluger into Lindholm? Does that make that third line even better? Should that third line be even better with those?
You'd think so. Certainly, the Lindholm obviously story is that. Look at Saturday night. I'm sure you guys have talked about this, but hey, the puck comes to him, the goalie's out of position, and he still tries to pass it. Like a player who's completely lacking in confidence. You put him with Garland and Joshua, and they will put the puck on his stick in front of the net, and he will have no choice but to shoot.
And we've seen with Mikheyev what one goal can do.
Yeah.
Like it's not like it's been a landslide of goals for Mikheyev, but he's changed. He's been a different player since he scored.
Yeah. The funny thing was, I think I talked to him he scored on Wednesday, right? I talked to him a little bit on Tuesday morning. Just said, "Hey, how's it going? You look like you look like you're feeling." He goes, "Oh yeah, going good. Yeah. He sort of does this nodding thing. Oh yeah. And then the next day, Coos talked to him and had a little story on him. And so clearly the post media writers were the ones that incentivized
assist to post media. Yes,
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, he's looking back.
We once had a player, a Hart Trophy winner here, who would have the puck in the high slot and find a way to pass it in the corner.
Different player, though, sir.
Yeah,
different player, sir.
Yeah, Hall of Fame player.
You wrote on Lucky Black skate jersey. And I got another message Tuesday. Shout out to our buddy Mike Allen. They have to wear these jerseys in the playoffs.
They have to.
Right?
Yeah.
They have to pick, right? Like they can't swap around. They pick one, that's it. League makes you pick. I think they should. I'm not convinced that they will. Obviously had a brief exchange with Jim Rutherford. He appreciated the stat, but sort of joking.
What is the stat now for those who
they've lost? 15 times. I actually had JPAT had to give me a late correction because I'd missed that there was an extra game off the original schedule that they were going to wear the blacks. So they actually have 2 regulation losses in black and an overtime loss in black. Otherwise, 12 wins.
12-1.
And the split. The goal split, they've scored something like 63% of the goals, which is greater than the split that they've had on the season. That they play well. There have been a lot of psychological research, as I mentioned in my story, into black teams that wear black get penalized more. There seems to be some sort of negative connotation with
Darth
officials.
Vader syndrome.
Darth Vader
The
type
villain wears
situation.
black, apparently.
Yeah.
And then all these studies that have been done over the years suggesting maybe red teams win more. Well, there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of color. Anyway, the point is that players like it. They feel more aggressive. Who doesn't want more aggressive hockey? And the Canucks have been winning. Anyway, Jim Rutherford chuckles. He says, as if the whole explanation would just be about what we're wearing. But he did, I think they probably won't. I mean, someone, I don't know. I can't honestly remember who it was. We were debating this question. It was somebody who sort of thinks about marketing, and they said, but the thing is that you have to do the hypothetical. What do you want to look like hoisting the Stanley Cup? And the corporate answer would be you wear what your bloody logo is that you have. And if you didn't like your Orca logo, you should have switched in the first place. So that's the sad, cynical answer. The positive answer is what I wrote yesterday.
Is there another complication? Would they have to fashion a white or gold
I don't think so.
skate shirt? You can just wear black and
You
if
pick
the
one
other
at home and you pick one on the road, and that's it. Yeah. That's my
so you wear white logo or white Orca
On the road.
Yeah.
on the road and you wear black skate at home.
Yeah.
Correct.
So the league allows that.
Yes.
Well, he just told me that you have to pick one.
Yeah.
No, sorry. You have to pick, to be clear, you have to pick, you when I say one, I mean at home. Like on the road, you're obviously wearing your whites and you're
You
wearing
only have
what
one
you
white. Yeah.
You only have, so you can't swap back and forth between your third and your
But could they fashion a white?
No,
No, at this point, no.
It's too late.
Too late. They would have, and also you're not, this goes back to, as far as I know, this is still true, but a series of long discussions during the 50th season with Chris Brumwell, basically about how this all played out. Because if you remember, they did actually wear, if I'm not mistaken, because they wore the black skate, like the original retro black skate 3 times, and they were supposed to wear it a 4th time, but that game never happened. I never confirmed which game it was, but you had to get special dispensation from the league to wear a 4th jersey, which you would incorporate into your set of sort of allowed 3rd jersey nights. So you basically didn't wear your 3rd jersey, and they would let you wear an alternate, a 4th sweater. But basically, they allow teams to have 3 sweaters, and that's it.
See, if Mark Cuban was an NHL owner, he would just dress them however he wants and be like, "What are you going to do? Take it like in the playoffs? What are you going to do? Take the game away from me? Like, what are they going to do?"
Big fine. I mean, they, like, to be clear, they've also done reverse retros and that, but that's a league thing. But in terms of teams having sort of a standard sort of branding look, they are allowed their regular home, a regular road, and then an alternate version of one of those. Generally, they do it at home because they can sell more of them that way.
By the way, you just gave me a great idea for the next reverse retro: the skate in red.
Yes, absolutely.
Huh?
Yes. Bring you want just the salmon?
No, not. I don't want that. I don't want to say. I want the red that we see, which is a nice red.
Yeah.
And then maybe, the problem with a lot of this stuff is that then you get players need to wear new gloves and all that sort of. Maybe fade into black so that you've got black at the gloves still. But I don't know. Red would be cool.
Yeah, I'm with you.
You know me, I'm a style guy, Matt.
Matt's really, really impressed.
What a fashion guy.
He's not a jersey guy. Matt.
No, probably not as much as the next person. No. I'm about the team representing the city and community more so than the fashion and what it looks like.
We were talking about like X's and O's, who Garland works with. How did we get to like red jerseys?
Well, because he wrote on it, we moved.
We moved quick.
Matt did this
discussion.
I did this.
It was not particularly pithy. It lasted less than 6 minutes by my calculations. We moved on to what he had written about in the province this week.
Hey, let me ask you this about the way the Canucks have played of late. They
spent 7 good minutes on jerseys, and now we're moving on to our third subset.
They've had periods of dominance in the shot clock here of late, not on the scoreboard at all. And yet I would argue this is not regression from the first half of the season. And they're kind of outshooting that first half of the season. Remember in the first half of the season, they didn't outshoot teams a ton, if they did at all, because they had 4-0 leads early and then surfed on score effects until the end of the game. So, what's happening here? How do we describe increased defense, increased shots, and less offense? It's kind of weird.
Yeah, it's the sort of loosey-goosey of the early in the season. I mean, just look at the Canucks themselves, how their
Yeah.
defense has progressed, right?
Yeah.
Like, you start the season and you're working on improving things as the season goes along. So, yeah, some of that was that. Some of it was every shot was going in. I did have someone pretty smart who sort of said, well, some of the story here may be that, like, in a way, because they're scoring so quickly, they're missing out on all these extra shots.
Yeah,
Which,
I agree.
there's sort of something, it's hard to prove, but there's sort of something to that. And I think, yeah, you're right. Like, the finishing is not not there as it was at the beginning. And a lot of it too is just the power outage on the power play, right? Like the fact the power play has struggled as much as it has. Shot volume's down. The last I checked was last week, but shot volume was down, as of last week, was down 20% on the season since the All-Star break, right? Like, they
In the
simply
league or
weren't
for the Canucks.
for the Canucks,
Yeah.
like, on the power play, like their power
On the
play,
power play.
and I yeah, like, and it's talk it the way, and it's not just simply what the fans scream shoot, right? Like, you still have to create your looks, and they kind of double back on that. And I mean, talked a little bit about that the other day, was that, we're not that he did not think the power play still was doing enough to create enough good looks, that they were getting there, but that, you have to get the looks and get the shots off. And that's been a struggle. I mean, you look at the loss to Washington, they missed the net. What was it? They, between block shots and missed shots, they misfired 48 times. They had 21 shots on goal and 48 misses. Now, the reason why we talk about shot attempts now versus shots is because obviously a lot of pucks don't get to the net or miss the net. But usually you're not missing on a sort of a 2-to-1 ratio like they were on Saturday, and double back with Talka's point that we weren't even getting inside. Like, they needed to fight to get position and get inside and get in front of the net and create rebounds. And you, again, to compare with the success at the beginning of the season, this ability to tip pucks, Brock Besser obviously scoring a tip goal last week, which, was a reminder of what they've done so well. And, Höglander, I think, is tied for 5th in the league in tip shots. Like, they've had a lot of success getting inside. And, when they lose, not surprisingly, it's probably often because they aren't getting in there. So the defenses are better. The teams understand what the Canucks are trying to do better. You were never going to continue scoring at the finishing at the rate that they were finishing at. It's a whole bunch of things, but in the end, to me, as I noted the other day, that 5-on-5 you can keep battling at and probably fix because you've had so much success this year. The things that worry me are the power play. You got to get back on track, and the penalty kill. Like, they've cut down on their penalties, but the PK's success rate has dipped, and you need it to be more than 20th in the league if you're going to have any success in the playoffs.
With what we saw Lindholm do in his first game, like, they've got the best net front tipping group in the league.
Possibly, yeah. And they have for years. Like, I wrote about this earlier in the year. The number of goals that they score on sort of net front. I mean, I think back often to something Troy Stecher said when he was still here, and this is like 6-7 years ago, was talking about the need to get the puck to the net and the way they did it. And this goes back through coaches, right? It's not just Rick Tocchet, but it's something about the skill set of players that they've accumulated over the years that sort of reinforce itself on and on. And it's not slap shots, it's getting pucks through that can be tipped. And the Canucks have had a lot of good players at it. Besser and Höglander right now, Horvat and Kuzmenko last year, Horvat going back seasons. It's been something they've been good at. Actually turned out hilariously when I wrote my story, a guy we never thought of, but it turned out he was actually pretty good at it. And I actually talked to him about it, and he was kind of blown away, was Brandon Sutter. Brandon Sutter was a good guy in front of the net, getting rebounds. He had a lot of rebound goals, and he immediately recognized what that meant. He goes, "Oh man, that's a man picking up garbage." So
yeah.
Anyway, they've been good at it.
Blake's point is a good one, though. The premise of his last question, and that is, are we seeing a transformation of the club that is going to be permanent in terms of being a more defensive-minded, defensive-oriented, win lower scoring games? Because those shots on goal have been low all season long. You finally got your best 6 defensemen healthy. You don't even have your number 1 goalie right now.
Yeah,
Patrick, think of if you're getting an extra save or two during this stretch.
I think they win last game 3-1, 3-0.
Yeah, what the score lines look like, and most importantly, I guess, is that a good thing? Is that a better recipe or formula than what they were doing earlier in the season, just barraging teams with goals? And converting at such a high percentage.
Well, they were, yeah. I mean, they were better defensively off the bat anyway. But yes, they are improved defensively versus the beginning of the season. And yeah, I think you would argue that if you are taking care of your own end and you're only giving up 2 goals a game, you do have a better chance of winning in the long run. Especially when you believe in the scoring talent you have, and you have guys scoring in the way they've been able to score. And that comes back to the power play issue, which is if you can lull them to death 5-on-5 and then you have a lethal power play, well, you're going to go a long way. So that absolutely is the formula that Rick Tocchet's been trying to instill all season. And they have shown elements of it in the last few weeks. Obviously there was disappointment on Saturday against Washington, bad finish against Colorado, but go back to the week before and those wins over Vegas and LA and Winnipeg were all about exactly that, not giving anything away at the back, being ready to counterpunch when you had your chance and finishing. And that very much is what they want to be going forward. And that's what Rick Tocchet wasn't at in Arizona, right? Like his team was a very efficient team. And I said this way back at the beginning of the season. He just didn't have any talent. Phil Kessel was his best forward on that team. Connor Garland was a very good player on that team, but he was a young guy. And Garland, as I know I've said here before, Garland, I asked him about that team. He said, this team has just way more talent than that one did. Rick's a very disciplined, very focused in coach, has high expectations for us, and we need to deliver on those. And now this team can actually score, unlike the team in Arizona.
Lastly, do you agree with Wyatt Arndt? Do the Canucks have to do some sort of French fry promotion? lean into Frygate.
Yeah.
The only way to neuter it, right? Sterilize it. Make
all
it
you can eat,
it. Make it your own.
Yeah, I mean,
actually do something for the fans.
If they score 3 goals, everybody gets fries.
There you go.
Yeah, it's a low bar.
And you know what? If the players, like, that's one of those ones. I mean, I go way back. This is 21 years ago. My buddy Mike McGurr, who was the Northwest League Pitcher of the Month for the Vancouver Canadians, July 2004. Mike would tell you. Mike would tell you that that back in those days when they had the Dutch inning promotion, and if the pitcher struck out the side, everybody won a bucket of the Dutch. Like Mike had that happen a couple times, and he was not a fireballer, but sometimes he would actually be able to get the guys to strike out. And he told me that he would get fired up too. So hey, surely we've seen the players, knowing that they're chasing fries for the fans, would get fired up.
We've seen it with pizza, right? Yeah. Like break 100 points, get pizza, score 5 goals, and get pizza. The fan, it absolutely engages the fans.
Chant. Oh yeah, it's good
I'm
stuff.
with you. And boy, that was July 2004 for Mike, pitcher of the
month.
So
yeah, Mike comes in 2003 and makes every start. The only pitcher for the Canadians that year to make every start. A's really liked him, but basically through way too much. They sent him to instructional league. He can't do anything. They're like, all right, take a rest over the winter. Comes back to spring training. Of course, he's way behind on his throwing program because they told him to rest. They're like, what happened? He goes, you told me to rest. They basically, at this point, he realized, man, this is never going to happen. This is how it goes. I'm just a guy. Anyway, they tell him he's going to be a reliever. He breaks the season with King County. Doesn't know how to be a reliever. Short season, and the Northwest League comes back. And of course, that era, it was all guys out of college hitting with wood bats for the first time. So Mike just had a summer where he just toyed with these guys and had, he gave up like 1 run in all of July. It was something dumb like that.
Maple Durham. It's a movie. We make it about your friend. There you go.
No, it works because he's from Boston.
Wow, July 2004 goes down with 408 goals for Ferraro. It sounds like you've been reminded of that.
Oh no, it's one of my worst favorite facts. Like, it's just so silly.
Boy, it rolled off the brain and tongue pretty quickly there.
That was good. Yeah.
Well, it was the thing. Like I said, the pancakes. Like, he was just so pumped about the dough.
What month was it? Well, didn't you give us the month there?
July
2004, Northwest League.
Northwest League pitcher of the month. I mean, that's not the opening line of a cover letter. I don't know what it is. Yeah. Give our best to Mike. Thank you for this, Patrick.
Take care.
See ya.
Vancouver Canadians baseball. Get your tickets. CanadiansBaseball.com. Hey, everybody. If you're enjoying what you're seeing here, then follow along with Sekeres and Price on YouTube. I promise more content coming.
The kids call it subscribe. on YouTube.
Well, how about liking it?
Do that as well. Smash it right now.